Okay, next up is a first-time visitor to India. She is the Vice President of Blockchain Strategy and Ecosystem Development at IBM. There's been so much talk. I guess this week there was a crypto ATM that was busted here in Bangalore. I think you saw that in the newspapers. And so Janine Grasso, she's a very experienced executive. She's done a lot of work in go-to-market strategy, partnerships, mergers and acquisitions, and like I said, now runs the blockchain strategy and ecosystem development at IBM. So give her a warm Bengaluru welcome.
So how many people here are no longer confused about blockchain and Bitcoin? That they're two different things. You're still confused or you're not confused? Good, okay. So today I'm going to talk to you about the opportunity of blockchain, what we're seeing in the market across businesses and enterprises, and then talk to you about how each different audience can get started. So $1 trillion is the estimate today for new blockchain networks created powered by the blockchain technology. That is an enormous number. And already to date this year, $400 million is being invested in the VC space. I actually had several conversations already this morning about different companies using and applying the technology. So it truly is great to see that it's happening here in India. So let's reset the problem, right? So on that left side, you can see the traditional way that we do business today. It's fragmented, it's inefficient, it's expensive, it's vulnerable. You could almost apply this picture when you go to your doctor's office, and if you have tests done, how many times you have to share that same level of information. Or what about a mortgage process? How many have recently gone for a mortgage? You have to share the same level of documents over and over and over again. But what if you applied blockchain to those same processes? You now can have provenance from beginning to end of the transactions. It's immutable, it's much more secure, and you gain consensus with all of the parties that are within that ecosystem. So the four key takeaways of what the technology does is it applies a shared ledger, it leverages a smart contract where you as a member of that network can decide the governance model, it has privacy, and once again, you can gain that consensus. We believe that blockchain will do what the internet did for information, it will do for transactions. Oops, let's see here. It does, okay, good. Are you moving it or am I moving it? Okay, let's try this again. I'm being patient, which is not always easy. Okay, all right, so blockchain is going to become the new operating system of trust. And so what does that mean? And we're seeing this across many different industries today, which I'll get to in a little bit. Okay, I am not touching it. It is not me. Okay. Look, I'm not touching it, just for the record. And maybe it just wants me to get into the real use cases. Maybe that's it. Okay, so let me talk to you a little bit about what IBM's been doing. So we've been on this journey for 5+ years now. It actually started out in our research lab, both in India and in the US. And again, okay, you know what, yeah, good. So it started out in the research lab, and we adopted Fabric because of some features that it wanted. But more importantly, we decided 3 years ago to test blockchain on ourselves. So we actually have a very large financing organization within IBM. We do $5 billion quarterly. It's a huge business for us. But what we also have is a large reconciliation process that has to happen every month. We always had a lot of outstanding orders or reconciliation of orders of who got goods, who didn't get goods. And so we had a lot of our capital that was being held up on a monthly basis. we applied blockchain, we were able to reduce it by 75%. This is back in 2015. So we said, okay, we're on to something. Let's actually start to take this to market. So what we did was, from that time, is we started to build out a platform because we knew that for an average company to go and take Fabric, any protocol really, put it in a container, spin up a network was going to be hard. So we invested in a platform that can quickly develop and govern and operate your network. In addition to that, we built out some solutions, which I'll take you through in a minute. And then, of course, we have our services organization, not just internal, but external, right? So working with all of the different global system integrators to really bring these ideas to life. And then, of course, and my main role is the ecosystem. And so what that means is, how do we get blockchain in the hands of students, developers, startups, partners, and really everyone that wants to participate in these network ecosystems? Okay, so this is a landscape of different industries and companies that we're working with today. These are real live networks. We've done to date over 500 engagements, and of which 77 today are live, active networks where there is data on the blockchain. And you can see the array of companies, and this is just a small sample, from food safety to my friends in Dubai. Where's PK? All roads lead back to PK. Dubai is, going to be all blockchain city by 2021. And that's something that we're super proud of. And so you can see again the array of different use cases. So let me talk to you about, this is one of my favorite. This is called Food Trust. And so if I take you back to 2016, after we applied blockchain for our own internal use case, IGF, we sat down with Walmart, and they were trying to solve food traceability. Their problem that they were solving was, if there was a contamination, an outbreak, in the US, we hear quite a lot about leafy greens being recalled because people got sick. They had no way to actually trace it back to the origin. If they were to trace it back, it would take days or even weeks. So they tested it with mangoes, and they were able to reduce that time down to seconds. And so from the farmer to the distributor to the packager to ultimately the retailer, they all came together on a common governance structure and now have a shared ledger system powered by blockchain where they can see provenance end-to-end of everything that happened within that. So now, if there is a contamination or an outbreak, they know exactly what batch it is, they can pull it. They also don't have to pull an entire inventory worth of product because they know exactly where it came from and where it is on the shelf. So today, this is a live solution. We have over 500 products that today are currently being managed by the blockchain. All sorts of brands you can see here, just a sample. And so this is really, this is really changing the world here and hopefully reducing illness, but also from a farmer's perspective, when you think about it from a farm, this is their livelihood. And so they were really accepting, the fact that they wanted to participate in this because they wanted to give that visibility and that transparency to their consumers. Global trade digitization. I actually never internalized how all of us get our goods, but what I learned through this process is 90% of our goods actually comes to you via water. And that process has been the same process for 200 years. It is inefficient. One shipment barrel has roughly 200 pieces of paper, right? So it is completely inefficient, and we teamed up with Maersk and a lot of other partners within this field to, again, transform the way we do supply chain from end to end. So from ports all the way to the ocean carriers, and all of the people in between came together and now are on this one shared network to help transform the way we move goods around the world. Global payments. It takes roughly 7 days to transfer funds country to country, right? And the banks, sorry for those that may be in banking industry, but that's actually how they make money. They make money by the inefficiencies. And so we're using Stellar as a digital currency to help do the reconciliation. But this is one where a lot of banks are teaming up to help simplify that process, and this is just one use case that we're working with around the world. So this is another one where at the consumer level, we will all benefit because of the time and the means of which we're gonna be saving. Everledger is a startup, actually based in London and Australia, and this is one where instead of where Walmart kind of was transforming itself from the inside out, Everledger came in and is really transforming the diamond industry from the outside in. And so they really wanted to create provenance from mine all the way to consumer. And so they have a number of retailers and miners on this platform, and they're using blockchain to do it. And so this is a great startup success story. They had started over 18 months ago and seeing great progress. So let's quickly shift to what's happening here in India. As you know, we have at IBM a great research and tech team, and so we've really built out our presence here in India. Just recently, we did a class for students to get them trained up on Starter. And so 400 students went through that, and I know the team is busy working on how we do that, how we continue to do that at scale. And of course, our blockchain platform, our Starter version, is available here in India. And again, the team, my team here in India, are busy working on ways to really bring the technology, but more also how you all can get started, whether it's spinning up a network, whether it's helping your clients, or really just learning the basics of what blockchain can do for you. So this is we're just touching the surface here, but India is definitely an investment area that we continue to do within blockchain. So this is a slide that may look confusing, but let me just break it down for you. And it's really important, every time I meet with a partner or a client, or it doesn't matter who, I always ask them, what role do you want to play, right? Are you looking to just be educated on blockchain? You know, we have a path for you. Do you want to actually disrupt, like in the case of Everledger, disrupt a network or an industry? Then, you know, that's kind of the far left example. If you're a new market maker and you want to get a bunch of members together, like we're seeing a lot with banks, right? That's actually a slightly different model. And then, of course, if you already have an ecosystem like a lot of partners and clients do, then the model is your role will be very different than, let's say, the one of the founder-led network. And then, of course, the last one is where we see a lot of developers and startups playing. They're saying, you know, I'm not gonna stand up a new network, right? That's not what I want, but I'm really good at building applications. And so give me a network and maybe I can do some value add applications on top of that. And so we're seeing that really take off now with some of our solutions that we already have GA'd, like our food trust and our global trade digitization. So there is a role for everyone in blockchain, and it's here and it's now. So, you know, figure out what role you wanna play. This really also explains in much more detail, and this is kind of our Bible. We really use this, and it holds true almost every single time. When we talk to a partner or a client, getting them grounded on what the first project means, and then taking them to a pilot stage and then ultimately production. And what we want to do with our partners is really take them along that journey, and in a lot of cases, have them lead that journey for us and with us to receive training, technical support, garage. We do a lot of hands-on and getting our partners to really engage and help take it from pilot to production. So hopefully you learned a little bit about blockchain today. The opportunity is big. It is big, and there is a role for everyone to play. If you are already building in blockchain, how can partners and even organizations like NASSCOM help accelerate that? The technology piece is the smallest of it all. The hardest piece of blockchain is convening a network. So having work within your industry or your domain expertise to really help convene those networks and accelerate them. And then ultimately, keep innovating. Keep innovating. Again, I've been here for 2 days, and I've already heard so many great stories about companies using blockchain. So again, think about it. What role do you want to play in this space? Thank you. We probably have time for a question or two.
Absolutely. Any questions for Janine? Oh, back there. So if you could, I think there's a microphone. Hang on.
Hi. Is it Hashcash-based implementation or DAG-based implementation? Your blockchain.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
What kind of
Implementation. Is it Hashcash-based or DAG-based implementation? DAG, directed actually acyclic graph.
Directed access, or what's the first
There are
one?
2 models which have come
Models
up.
of implementation.
One is the Toyota model.
So if I think I understand your question, we have a multi-prong approach, right? So today you can have it on multi-cloud. The protocols will continue to be more interoperable. You can consume it as a service. There's a licensing option as well. So it's really hybrid. It really varies, depending on the circumstance.
Great. Any other questions? Oh, one here. Go ahead. The mic here, please.
I'm putting this finicky thing down.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Anu from Sony.
Hi.
There's always questions regarding the scalability factor of blockchain implementations. Its implementation towards consumer phasing application integration. So what are your thoughts on the same?
Well, the largest one we have right now is food, because we have 500 products. We have yet to have a scalable, a scale issue. For those large implementations, again, the multi-cloud strategy, we're actually using our mainframe because it can produce large volumes of transactions, per second. So I think we'll continue to fine tune it. Again, this market is still maturing, and I'm certain if there is an issue with that, we'll find a solution collectively as within the market.
A question back there. Oh, hang on a sec.
Retail-based businesses. Can you give some use cases for retail-based businesses? Some interesting ones?
Retail. The one that I'm seeing twofold, media, retail as a consumer of advertising. That's more to get line of sight into where they're spending and what advertisements actually turn into consumption. So we're seeing a lot of that. The other thing that we're seeing is loyalty, right? So like airlines, hotels, yes, they all have that. But how do you actually create loyalty programs pervasively within a region and using digital currencies to actually, transfer that value? So that's the other one that we're seeing in retail.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Janine.